Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SC2 Improved Team League America for our second broadcast this week. Last night we saw Team Gravity take on Integrity Gaming, and tonight we have what I feel is an even better match. So we have Seed going up against Solaris, two what I would call fan favourite teams. I'm Wardy, and with me tonight is Boisterous. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, dude. It's 4th of July. It's raining, so there's no fireworks tonight. So instead of celebrating freedom, I'm celebrating StarCraft.
Oh man, you know that's dedication, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, you know we've got a great match on our hands. Solaris against Seed. I personally feel Solaris are going to edge this one out, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, like, Seed has the major problem of being a kind of almost like farm team for Root. So, you know, they definitely have an issue going into it where a lot of people aren't going to believe in them. But I have personally seen Seed just destroy people in the DETL. Like, they had some crazy games where you were like, nah, there's no way they're going to win this. And then just one guy would come out and just ruin people. And it really made absolutely no sense. So honestly, it's almost a complete toss-up. Like, I really have no idea. I know Jon Snow is going to be a strong starter for Solaris, and I think he'll be able to pull out a couple wins, but after that, I'm just not sure.
Yeah, it's I feel like it's going to be close. I said in my prediction Solaris will take this with a 4-3 victory. But I feel like it could go either way, you know, if one team gets maybe like one map which is very close but goes like one way instead of the other, then you know, I feel it can go either way, as we are hosting up our first game. As you said, Jon Snow the starter for Solaris, which I'm a bit surprised at. I feel Jon Snow is probably one of their stronger players. But that being said, everyone on Solaris seems to be a pretty strong player in themselves, so it's kind of hard to say that. From Seed, we actually see one of the European players come out. Solo is going to start us off. Solo is European, isn't he? I'm 99% sure he's Norwegian. I don't know why I'm questioning myself, because I know he is.
All I know is that he's trying to shut down freedom, and Jon Snow better take it out for America.
He is Norwegian. I don't know why I questioned myself. Like, at the very last moment, I knew straight in my head he was from Norwegian. So, yeah, we've got a European player to start off for Seed, and we'll see how much damage he can do, if any damage at all, because again, Jon Snow is a very strong starter for Solaris. So
yeah, I mean, I've had the pleasure of being a teammate of Jon Snow about 2 or 3 months ago, and he definitely, I know that I met him at PAX East, actually, and other than myself, hilariously enough, he was one of the few people that managed to beat one of the guys at the HyperX booth, where they had like the play versus pros, and it's a story for later, but I'll tell a story later, Wardy. Don't worry about it. It's hilarious. It's the story of how a silver player beat In Control.
Oh man, I bet that if you tell that story, I bet that ends up on Reddit or something like, oh my OMG, In Control, I'm sure. So retired.
there's no way I should have won that map, but I picked Steps of War.
Steps of War? Wow. Well,
yeah, it was awesome. He was like, he looked at my rank and he was like, yeah, pick any map you want. So I picked Steps of War, and
Steps of War is like the only thing you could have picked that would have been worse than Zalmaga Caverns. Actually, I reckon. The good old days. Let's get into this match, because we are loading into Overgrowth here. For ZVZ to start things off, it is Solo versus Jon Snow to begin with. It's a best of 7 all kill here tonight, guys. The losing player. The player from the losing team, the team with the player who loses then picks the next player. They pick the next map as well. So momentum can definitely be a part of this. And once a team picks up a lot of momentum, it can definitely really help. And while the losing team do get to pick a sniper player or on a sniper map, for example, you know, you're always going to probably be playing from behind in that position. So, all right, we're going into this game. It's Overgrowth for ZVZ, and in the upper right hand corner, we're actually going to be starting with the Solaris player. The red Zerg. In the upper right hand corner, it's Jon Snow.
And spawning down here in the bottom left hand corner for his team Seed, it is the Norwegian Hope, Solo, as the pink Zerg.
Alright, so our sound levels apparently are good, which is great, because I actually did do a sound test today, which is already...
Wait, you didn't do one yesterday?
Well, no, me and Fear Dragon, we Skyped each other up, and we were just like, so, StarCraft, and we chatted about StarCraft for half an hour, and then I was like, oh crap, I was meant to put your webcam on the stream, and so I did that, and I was like, oh, we better go live, and then we went live, and then we went live properly, and Fear Dragon was like, boom, 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 with his voice, and I was like, hello guys, how are you doing? So, yeah, alright.
Well, Fear Dragon is known for just causing segues all over the place. That guy can't focus.
You know, I feel it's an interesting match, not only because I feel these teams are very evenly matched, but I believe this is Solaris' first competitive match as a team.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I know that a lot of members from Solaris were from teams that kind of disintegrated over the last few months.
Yeah.
I believe Jon Snow was originally from Core. Guitar Cheese would have been from Demos. Mm-hmm. I haven't actually looked in depth at the rest of their roster, but I know at least those two guys were from those two teams.
Yeah, the other players on Solaris are Binsky, Padre, Silky, and I actually think that's it. I feel like I may be missing one player, but that's pretty much their roster here. So not a huge roster, but definitely a very high level roster. You know, any player they send out is a danger to just win game after game after game. So, wow. I mean, we're in game here. We had pool first from either side, followed by the hatchery pretty quickly. Only difference so far is that Solar has already opted into a pretty quick gas here. So, I mean, he's going to be able to invest in his metabolic boost quite quickly, get that going for him. He's going to get a lot of map control with that, with the Zerglings. But we will have to see, you know, what kind of direction Jon Snow is going to go in. It looks as though he'll play gasless, so he's probably going to look to head straight into roaches. But we can also see a delayed speed from him, a delayed metabolic boost, and that quite often can catch players off guard. And we can see that denying third bases for quite some time as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not really surprised to see the builds coming out from either one of these players. I don't think they really want to do anything too astounding. Yeah. So I would expect to see a very safe game, a very kind of almost slow game for this first game, where they're both just going to be testing the waters a lot. You can see Jon Snow making sure to keep up on the scouting, sacrificing 2 lings there just to be sure that he knows exactly what his opponent's doing, doesn't want anything sneaky happening to him, and it looks like Solo not going for anything too risky yet.
No, Solo just starting up his metabolic boost back here at home, and yeah, I mean, we're going to have a fairly slow start. It doesn't look as though either player's really committing all too much to anything. Solo has kept one worker in gas, so he has the opportunity to throw down a Baneling Nest. You can see Jon Snow, he's preparing to defend over here. He's throwing down his spine crawler. So, again, a defensive build, and not really too surprising considering he's only just taken his gases now at the 530 mark. So, expecting him to head straight into these roaches. Solo might lose an Overlord here. I think it might just get away. It's going to be pretty close. It's going to be right on the edge of this tower.
No, I think it's going to go down because one more volley should kill it, and there we go. And that's actually a big hit for Solo this early in the game. I doubt he expected Jon Snow to pull 2 queens off to go deal with that.
I guess it's not incredibly risky because metabolic boost isn't finished just yet. What's Jon Snow really seen on the map? I guess that tells us how risky it is. I mean, yeah. I guess he felt pretty safe. He also sees a third base coming down from Solo now. This third base is a great way to counteract the gasless play from Jon Snow because he's not going to have speedlings for a long time if he ever gets them at all, so there's no real way for him to deny that third base. So Solo is just saying greed is going to be my answer in the long run here.
And even more importantly, you know, if you're facing off against a gasless player, you're kind of expecting them to be a lot more greedy than you. But if you go for this sort of fast third base, they can't really do anything to put a lot of damage onto you. But then at the same time, you can just camp 4 lings here like Solo's doing right now. And they either have to pull queens and put them in a much more dangerous position, or they need to just not take a third base. And it's going to be hard for Jon Snow to actually push out, even with these 4 lings, just because, you know, the drones can't make it to the third base.
Yeah, and you know, it's definitely. I mean, he definitely got the better start in terms of now he's got double evolution chamber up already, so he's already going to start his upgrades. He kind of kickstarted his economy, but again, he will fall slightly behind because of the later third base that he just can't take right now. So I feel Solo's. I mean, neither player's necessarily making mistakes. They're both doing exactly what their build entails, their plan for this game entails them to do, and you know, that's great. Basically, Solo so far just reacting to his opponent.
Yeah, it looks like Jon Snow is going to be going for a heavy roach build, and he is definitely building up the creep tumors that he needs to pull that off. Looks like we are going to have that first drone going through, and oh my god, a transfuse on the drone. Oh, second transfuse. He manages to keep the drone up. That is absurd from Jon Snow.
Right, this is kind of huge right now because Jon Snow has a lot of Zerglings heading across the map. He knows that third base is up. You know, a lot of roaches are about to pop out here for Solo, but he's actually walling his natural, whereas really I think he needs to focus at the third base because he might even lose this if he's not too careful. Roaches will start heading over here, so third base won't go down. It was actually a good idea from Jon Snow to just target that queen there initially. This hatchery will take some damage though, but there's plenty of roaches on the way over. Is he going to get this?
I'm not sure. I mean, these Zerglings on the backside, those roaches just can't hit them fast enough. But with this reinforcement, wow, he actually managed to take down the third hatchery from Solo.
Wow, and that's what I was talking about. You know, this Zergling speed is not something Solo's necessarily maybe anticipating. It's something which, you know, when your opponent opens Gastus, it's something they do skip a lot of the time. But when they do invest in it, it can come as a surprise. And you can see there from Solo, he had the units just a few seconds too late, and he just ended up losing that there. And, well, I mean, immediately here we see Solo just... He's still in an okay spot, I think. He's 7 workers ahead. Not for too long, because Jon Snow should probably be droning up pretty soon. Although that being said, he is going for a pretty big roach timing, surely. I mean, his +1/+1's about to finish, but he isn't actually moving out.
I mean, he has a ton of roaches right now, and it's not really slowing down. It looks like he's finally transitioning over to drones now. But I would not be surprised if he kind of just goes for it now. I mean, honestly, that lead that he got from the third base is massive, and Solo's going to have to put a lot of resources and a lot of units into defending that third base, which gives Jon Snow a very nice timing to come in here and get a nice engagement.
Yeah, we're heading into this point of the game where it's going to be roach versus roach for pretty much all game long. I get the feeling Jon Snow didn't actually attack because he didn't actually have roach speed, and you can't realistically attack with roach speed, especially if you start getting outnumbered. There's no way for you to retreat at all, so in the long run, maybe a good decision for him to avoid that 1-1 timing. He will have a bit of time with 2-2, although, I mean, he's only got 15-second advantage where he'll have +2 missile attacks and his opponent won't, so the Carapace, not as big of an issue here, and a few links of Jon Snow do get caught by the roaches in the middle of the map here for Solo.
Yeah, and it looks like Solo's just going to keep positioning out here in the middle of the map. I'm actually surprised we aren't seeing him take these Xel'Nagas. Like, he's kind of just staying around them. I really wish I could see him just pop out a couple of Zerglings just to drop one in each Xel'Naga. But he does have the Overlord coverage where he can kind of do this, and we actually see him approaching the third base. Now, Jon Snow, of course, with amazing Overlord coverage, honestly, already knows that this is happening, and he's already in position in a nice concave to deal with it. It looks like Solo's just going to be pulling back now.
Yeah, this is the thing with Roach versus Roach. Realistically, without a huge number advantage or without a huge upgrade advantage, you're not going to fight into a concave and win a fight, so Solo's very smart to just back off here. He did try and get himself an upgrade advantage a few moments ago. He came in and contaminated one of the evolution chambers. Unfortunately for him, it was +2 Carapace and not +2 missile attacks, so didn't really have as much of an effect as he maybe would have hoped for. But still pretty nice, just slowing down whatever he can, allowing himself to catch up a little bit here. And, I mean, we're just seeing mass roaches for now, and the real difference is going to come when one of these players invests in tunneling claws and invests in burrowed roach attacks and starts trying to pull their opponents out of position. But it's very hard to do here on free bases, on overgrowth. These free bases are so easy to just cover, and you can already see, I mean, Overseer's kind of coming in everywhere to shut down any burrowed roach movement.
Yeah, it looks like Jon Snow's going to be swinging in right now. And this is a big army from Jon Snow. I mean, both players with pretty much equally sized armies. And I just want to point out that Solo's going for something very interesting here. He's actually getting centrifugal hooks, which is an upgrade you don't see a whole ton in Roach v. Roach. So I don't know what his plan is with that, but I'm interested to see Banelings come into this game.
This is something which, you know, I guess Snoot did most famously against Hyun in Home Story Cup. And he basically made a massive Banelings, and Banelings trade very, very well, but it's much hard. They're obviously much more expensive than just roaches, so it's if you can max out with a bunch of Banelings in your army against a maxed roach army, you've actually got a better composition, more or less. But of course, it's very expensive than Banelings. They only last for one detonation, so let's keep an eye on see how this goes. I mean, I kind of worry about the lack of creep spread for Solo if he wants to go for this, because of course that Baneling speed really starts to kick in the most once you get onto creep as well. However, Solo's come in all of his army to chase down just a handful of roaches. He now splits some of it off as he sees this big attack coming into the third base as well.
That was almost a beautiful engagement for Jon Snow, but it looks like Jon Snow is going to get cleaned up in the main base, and there is going to be a fight over here. And the concave is actually not the best from Solo. His banelings are all trapped in the back, and it looks like Jon Snow will be able to escape from this. He might do some stutter stepping to get those banelings, and he feels like being fancy, and he's stopping roaches one at a time to try to snipe off as many as those. But he is going to have to fully return home here, and it looks like we're just getting back to a little status quo now. Both players.
Yeah. Actually see pathogen glands on the way for Jon Snow, and there's no way can Solo fight up here. I don't think. A few banelings do crash forward and do a lot of splash damage initially, but there's 3 spine crawlers here at the start of this fight, and a better concave for Jon Snow. Plus 2 carapaces here for him, and it only just kicked in for Solo, so I think, Solo does have to back off. Wasn't the worst of trades. I think them banelings definitely did help a lot, but he definitely needs to keep backing off here, and Jon Snow will begin to chase. With Infestors on the way, he's going to end up with, I feel, the stronger composition. I mean, being able to lock down any further banelings with fungal growths is going to be huge in an engagement.
Yeah, I mean, if Solo ever tries to do something like that again, especially with these Infestors up, he's going to lose the game. I mean, like, the big thing about these Infestors for Jon Snow is that they are the game ender. If Solo messes up, then suddenly he's messed up and he's completely locked into whatever he's trying to do, and then he dies. So he's going to have to play very carefully here, and he's going to need to find out about these Infestors, and I'm not sure if he's learned about them yet.
No, I'm not too sure if he has. Jon Snow begins to take the gold base, whereas Solo's actually going to take the bottom right base and the gold base at the same time. So he's just saying, right, well, I'm just going to double expand here. I mean, he's got a lot of minerals. He doesn't necessarily have the gas to spend all of those minerals. So not necessarily a bad idea. Jon Snow's going to get aggressive, and he will deny this gold base at least, which is nice for him. He's heading to Hive as well, so he's already got on his mind the thought of heading into 3-3 upgrades, and they're a fair way off for Solo, considering he's only just got his Infestation Pit finished and his Hive's not started just yet. 22 Baneling's going to finish moving in here, but again, them fungal growths can be devastating to the composition which Solo is trying to play.
Yeah, this is all going to come down to the micro from Jon Snow, and the Banelings, they're coming out, and they managed to get a few hits on the Infestors, but it doesn't matter. Those fungal growths are beautiful, and the concave from Jon Snow looks quite nice here. It looks like the Infestors did run out of energy after taking out of those Banelings, so it is going to be a rough fight here for Jon Snow. He is going to be forced back just by the sheer numbers of Solo.
I think what happened there was, well, I'm not sure. The first couple of fungals were good, but I feel like he lost a few Infestors which still had energy on them. And that was a big factor in the end there, because imagine a couple more fungals on this army and all of a sudden it's definitely much weaker than what Jon Snow had left. I feel Jon Snow has got this gold base up, so if he can see he's breaking down the rocks right now because he knows the important thing will be to defend. However, it looks as though Solo's going to get into position before Jon Snow can get over here, and this is pretty huge. Solo going in and he's going to try and kill us, but Jon Snow gets the concave now, and this is really, really nice. The Infestor's not going to be too useful, however, so a little bit of wasted army supply. There's an Infestor from behind, but he misses the fungal.
Yeah, that was a huge miss for Jon Snow. I think he'll still be able to win this engagement just on sheer numbers, but it would have been a crushing victory had he landed that fungal. The big thing for Jon Snow here is that he manages to keep the gold, and now he'll be able to set up his defense. He has beautiful creep spread. He'll be able to knock down this debris and get that full creep spread across all 4 of his bases, and it's going to be very hard for Solo to attack into this.
I feel like with the style that Solo is playing, he with the Banelings, he should really be looking to win one fight really convincingly and then push on with an advantage from there. But that's just not happening. If you look at the resources lost tab, he's about 2.5k resources behind, and that's because he's playing with a less efficient composition. Yet he isn't necessarily mining more than his opponent. He's not taking advantage after taking a fight, which with this composition should be what he's aiming to do. So this is really kind of troubling for him, because while their banks are now fully spent for either player, Jon Snow eventually, right now it looks as though this game could go on until the map does mine out, because both these guys are trading fairly evenly, but when it will come down to it, Jon Snow has been trading better so far, and that's only going to get worse for Solo, as +3/+3 already on the way for Jon Snow here.
Yeah, I mean, the +3/+3 from Solo is going to be 50 seconds behind Jon Snow's, because he's finishing up his lair now, and then he has to start the +3/+3. And that upgrade is going to be massive for Jon Snow, especially in a roach battle where both players are just completely maxed.
Another fight coming in here. The fungal growth is pretty huge on all of the Banelings, and the Banelings explode on, well, not too much. A few of them sneak through to the front line, but that is about it. And again, not really the best concave for Jon Snow. It's definitely better for Solo here, and Solo might just have enough to take this down. Jon Snow, I feel, attacking a bit too early. His +3 is about to finish, and he's fighting already. It doesn't seem to matter though. He's actually winning this just in terms of numbers, and with both banks spent, it's Jon Snow who comes out in terms of who comes out of this with an advantage in supply.
Yeah, and it looks like we are finally going to see Solo adding on infestors of his own as he has pathogen glands just finishing up. However, the big danger is that Jon Snow has 6 infestors already, and he's starting to add Hydralisks onto his composition. And even if he gets just 8-10 Hydralisks, those things put so much DPS onto the roaches, and they can stay behind and stay safe. That their damage just gets a little bit absurd.
Apart from heading into what would be the kind of really late game with Broodlords and Corruptors, we see right now Jon Snow is basically at that perfect late game composition with Roach, Hydra, Infestor. It doesn't get much better than this unless you really tech into this Hive tech. So, really nice so far. He's still scouting around with an Overseer. He's just moving around the bases, seeing what's up. If he can contaminate a base and shut down some lava production, some lava injects, that'll be nice as well. Especially as he's going to be looking to force a fight with his +3/+3 advantage.
Yeah, and here we actually have Jon Snow poking up a little bit, getting caught slightly, but the fungals for Jon Snow are much better, and there's no more energy for Solo. This fungal's still not great for Solo, and it looks like these Hydralisks are just going to be coming in here and doing so much damage. The roaches, they're crushing through, and it looks like Jon Snow is going to win this fight convincingly. He should be able to kill off that gold base after this, and his bank is just so much bigger than Solo's, and I don't know if Solo can pull this one back. This is a huge win for Jon Snow.
Yeah, unfortunately for Solo, I don't think he's going to have what it takes here. The gold base falls. Jon Snow, as you said, his bank is huge. It's all thanks to just the way he's been trading so much better, especially in the last few fights. That +3/+3 helps so much. He never really had the concave on his side, but what he did always seem to have was just, something else there, which was giving him a bit of an advantage every time we saw a fight take place. And that really did allow him to just trade better in the end and, push on from there.
Yeah, I mean, the only time he didn't have a tech advantage was when Solo had the Banelings, and in that case, he kind of just ran, because Solo couldn't really end the game at that early stage. And then Jon Snow, from then on, he had the Infestors as his advantage, and then he had the Hydralisks as his advantage. And Solo, he just was always fighting from, 2 steps behind. And his engagements were beautiful, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, most definitely. So, we're going to see who Seed send out next, because that was, definitely not the start they would have been looking for there, I don't think. I think Solo was, someone they'd definitely be looking to maybe take a map or two. Of course, Jon Snow is very strong, and, he does take that first game. I'm just trying to fix something with the overlay here very quickly, and then I'll be able to say something a little bit more sensible. There we go. Okay, awesome. I've lost your Skype. That was a bit of a mistake by me as well. Alright. Over a couple of issues there. So yeah, a great start for Solaris here. They definitely get the momentum in this game. And it's going to be interesting to see who Seed send out next. I mean, who do you send out? Surely not another Zerg player, because Jon Snow just played that beautifully.
I mean, I haven't really had enough experience with the recent Seed roster. I'm guessing that they've had quite a few changes, because I remember a lot of them I've seen on other teams, but it's kind of just, it's hard to say, because I don't think I see anyone that isn't a Zerg player in the chat from them right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here. They've got Prebz in here, so he could very well be up next. He's a Zerg player as well, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Bones. I think Bones is the better choice. Bones is a Protoss player. I think Prebz is a Zerg player. I believe so. He's level 35 Zerg, level 23 Protoss, and level 13 Terran, so I'm guessing. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Bones is a Protoss player. I'm opening up the Wikipedia because I managed to close all my Chrome tabs. So yeah, Bones is a Protoss player, Prebz is a Zerg, so we'll see who they send out. Prebz is another Norwegian player, so they may just send him out now to deal with time zones. So that'll be interesting. Anyways, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, guys. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. With game number 2, we're just going to get that player picked and this map set up. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to hit the follow button on Twitch. See when we go live again in the future with other matches. Tomorrow we'll be bringing you Root Gaming versus Miraculous Gaming, so that will definitely be one to catch in between any WCS America broadcast that's going on. So if you want to see when we go live with all of the matches, hit that follow button on Twitch, and guys, we'll be back in 3 minutes time for map number 2 between Seed and Solaris. Solaris currently leading 1-0. We've got our next game underway. It's going to be Bones versus Jon Snow on King Sejong Station. And just as I was waiting for the song to finish up, I was like, oh my god, I see a probe heading across the map. I'm going to miss something important. But it was, in the end, just a scouting probe as we jump on into this map. I mean, King Sejong Station, boisterous, good map pick for PvZ here. What do you feel?
I like King Sejong Station as a Zerg player, so probably not. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a lot of personal preference because King Sejong is definitely one of the weirder maps in the map pool. It's not traditional. Like, it's not very well laid out where, this is your third base and this is your fourth base, and they're all easily defensible and all easily connected. It's just kind of willy-nilly. It's all over the place.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. So let's introduce our players, and we'll discuss it a little bit more, I suppose, because we don't have too much going on. In the upper left-hand corner, representing Seed Gaming, following up from his teammate Solo, it's going to be Bones in the upper left-hand corner of King Sejong Station. Not really surprised to see the Protoss player coming out. I think the good decision to change up race here.
Mm-hmm. And down here in the bottom right-hand corner, from a Team Solaris, currently up 1-0 in this series, it is our Red Zerg player, Jon Snow. I like the level of professionalism, Ward. I like starting with our player intros at 4 minutes into the game when both players have their expansions down.
Man, it's PvZ. What do we really miss in the start? Unless there's some proxy gate or early pool.
There was a little bit of panicking, Ward, to be fair.
Yeah, there was a little bit of panicking when I was like, and I thought there was going to be a proxy. But, we would have made it still. We would have just talked about the probe heading across the map a bit faster. It would have been fine. Third base coming up very quickly here for Jon Snow. So, I mean, yeah, we've talked a bit about the map at the start, and I mean, a Forge Fast expand here from Bones, so looking to definitely kickstart his economy. Fast third bases definitely a possibility on this map for Protoss player. Fourth base can get interesting. I mean, do you take the fourth base to the side, or do you take the fourth base in the middle and really try and control the middle of the map? It's one of these maps where as long as you control the other pathways, your bases are always going to be relatively safe. Now, at the same time, for a Zerg player, they can do that with creep, and also they can take that middle expansion. If they want to play Swarm Hosts, this is the map you're going to play Swarm Hosts on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still don't like the idea of Swarm Hosts, but they just it feels like they're siege tanks, except they're even slower, because not only are they siege tanks, but also their units that attack are slow.
Yeah.
So you can kind of set up and almost control an area, but at the same time they're so easy to just run around because they don't even really lock out an area. They lock out a very small area around their pack of locusts.
That's one of the great things about this map, though, because if you have this middle expansion as your fourth for the Zerg, you have your creep spread in the middle already, and then Swarm Host can really just stop the Protoss player ever coming across the map with anything more than a Zealot run by or a pylon out on the map. So, if you can control that middle, we can definitely see a very long game from what's basically a stalemate. Well, when neither player is willing to commit any further forward from that potential fourth middle base, and behind that, of course, you can take the fifth base to the side, and from there you're really getting into that late game economy. So, we see a Stargate here for Bones, so it looks as though he probably will head towards the third base. I would say in the long run, he's going to start an Oracle. It'd be very weird to see any kind of 2-base all in following up an Oracle from a Stargate, I feel.
Yeah, that would be a special type of all in. I believe that they actually do call that the boisterous on the Korean ladder.
The boisterous.
I'm famous for it, Wardy. You have no idea. It doesn't win, but I'm famous for it. It doesn't matter.
Oh dear.
Yeah, starting off the bad jokes. Anyway, this Oracle is just about to pop out, and it will be heading right across the map. We do have the Stalker and the Zealot ready to move in and cause a little bit of chaos, but the Spore Crawlers are already up for Jon Snow, and this Oracle is just going to get shut down hard.
Yeah, we see a third base on the way up here. Now, this Oracle, it's going to get shut down hard, but with taking a fast third base, it's always going to be useful. We actually see a Stalker and a Zealot coming in towards the third to try and harass as well, but he turns away pretty quickly. I feel this Oracle just gives the Zerg a lot of safety. The Protoss a lot of safety. It allows him to scout a lot. He's going to be able to move around a lot and see, right, what's up? Are you attacking me anywhere? And if he can keep that alive, it's going to be so vital. So what would really suck is yesterday in a match, it mustn't have been in America, but it must have been the EU League because we only saw TVZs in America last night. But yesterday I saw a game where the Protoss player, he invested in an Oracle to begin with, and then he tried to follow it up with a big Zealot attack, and he really delayed his third base to go for one, then the other, and neither of them did much damage. And then by the time he got his third base down, it was like 11 minutes, and by then he was basically just asking to be overrun by Zerg. So that's not going to happen here. Bones, he's just going to come in, he's going to get a handful of worker kills, 2 there, turns away, but he keeps the Oracle alive. And again, I feel from this position, he can take that third base safely. He's going to get a good economy out of this. And he's just going to tech into Blink +2, as we would expect further on. And that's going to be a good transition. And with this Stargate down against the Spire, he's also going to be in a pretty good spot.
I'm actually a little bit surprised to see the Spire coming out from Jon Snow, honestly, because, I mean, the Phoenixes are primed to come out. It's not like, it's not going to be a hard tech switch for him. It's not going to be like, oh, man, I can't do it. And he can defend fine with Blink, and then he can attack into Phoenixes once you get those, or you can attack into Mutas once you get those Phoenixes up. Looks like we do have Nexus Cannon going down on the third base, forcing those Zerglings away. And Bones, he's just going to continue to play safe and be safe.
Yeah, most definitely. A bunch more Zerglings, just, you know, but I say a bunch more, the initial bunch of Zerglings is just heading back home right now. You see Hydra starting to come out. It's going to be Ling Hydra into the Mutalisk tech switch here, which is fairly strong. I mean, he'll have to start moving across the map pretty soon. You know, his fourth base is being delayed because he wants to kind of commit to a Ling Hydra attack. Otherwise, he'd have a fourth base down already, I feel. Oracle trying to come back into the main base. He hasn't spotted that Spire just yet, but now he does. And that's going to be absolutely huge. Spots everything. I mean, the Hydralisk den as well, so he knows exactly what can be coming his way, and immediately a second Stargate on the way, and a third. So, I mean, I think he's in a really good spot here. The initial +2 Blink Stalkers, going to be a good way to clean up initially. Stargate's on the way for the Muta Tech switch. He's pretty sorted here. Great scouting with this Oracle.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Jon Snow's plan is here, because he has a lot of Hydralisks, but he doesn't have Hydra speed, which limits their offensive capabilities, and he just started it now, but this feels really late because he can't really be aggressive with these Hydras until that finishes.
He can be aggressive, but the problem is he can't retreat from aggression, and you know, his creep spread's not going to really aid him in any way here. We still don't see a fourth base from him.
He's gonna catch the Oracle though.
Yeah, this is nice. The Oracle not quite getting anything, any revelation off or anything there, so that's nice. At least he knows these Hydras are in a bit of an aggressive posture. I mean, not really, but they're kind of edging forward. I really feel like, where's the fourth base? You know, he's clearly building up towards this attack, which is why he still doesn't have a fourth base. But if he doesn't make something happen with this, he will be in trouble. Now, the good thing for him is a lot of Bones' army right now, or a lot of his economy, is being invested into a lot of Phoenixes ready for the Mutalisks, and he's not actually making Mutalisks, which means that Bones, if he actually commits with this army, he is in a lot of trouble because, you know, he's got force fields, but a few missed force fields, and these Hydras are going to destroy these few gateway units.
I mean, even with hit force fields, the Hydras are still a clear and present danger. It's gonna be hard, especially on this map, because there isn't a whole ton of really nice spots for the Protoss player to take an engagement. You can kind of force the funnel down with the sentries, but it's still not amazing, especially with the pure amount of Hydras that Jon Snow has, which is truly ridiculous.
I really feel as though Bones is committing to the Phoenix a little bit too early. I mean, he's already on to 3. I guess he's only going up to about 5 right now, so it's not like he's got loads already, but they're not going to be really that useful. I mean, they're going to be able to pick up a few Hydras, but they're going to get targeted down pretty quickly. Taking 5 Hydras out of this army isn't going to be game-changing. He doesn't have a Robobay, he doesn't have Colossus up, because he's been invested into these Phoenix, ready for the Muta switch, or the Muta play in general, and there is no Muta play. There's a maxed out Roach Ling Hydra army coming in towards him. He has to rely on just force fields here to really deal with this. First set of force fields pretty good. Hydra's going to try and loop around the other side, though.
And they'll be successful at it. I mean, these sentries are going to have to completely force field themselves off, and that is a lot of force fields to be spending here. He's already spending a whole ton of them. It looks like he is going to be pulling back into some more sentry warp-ins, but, I mean, he can kind of just buy time here. These sentries cannot keep this entire area force fielded off well enough. There are not nearly enough of them.
He just doesn't have anything at all here to realistically fight the Hydralisks. I mean, apart from sheer numbers and upgrades, like... He's going to struggle. He really needs splash damage against Hydralisks. That's what they're weak against, and you can see the power of them just going to take down this third Nexus. Now, he will kill off this army. He will blink forward here. He uses the Phoenix to make sure he gets a kill on a few of these, and he should be able to pick off the rest of these Hydras. And throughout this engagement, we've seen Jon Snow maxing out on basically only roaches, so he is very vulnerable to a counterattack right now after throwing away the majority of his army. His units that are out are very weak, they're not so great, and the Stalkers are now +3, so this is actually a little bit of a dangerous counterattack coming across the map here from Bones. This is his real opportunity to come across here and do some damage. The 4th base is only just finished for Jon Snow. He hasn't been able to, really use that yet, and more Hydras and Roaches are getting caught on the retreat.
Yeah, I mean, this might have been a little bit of an overcommitment for Jon Snow, but at the same time, he did manage to take out almost the entirety of his opponent's sentry core. There's only 7 sentries left with enough energy for maybe 10 force fields between them, but he can zone out this army because it just doesn't have the force fields to straight up fight Jon Snow. Even though his army is only roaches and a few hydralisks, it doesn't matter. There's not enough firepower in this army.
Even just being aggressive here, though, it forces more roaches, it forces more hydralisks, and you can see, I mean, Bones still feels like the Muta tech switch is going to be the next step of this. He really feels it because he's making more Phoenix. Maybe just a few more, and I guess, still sitting around 9, it's not the end of the world. But, again, that would be gas that right now would actually be much better spent in any kind of Robotech.
Oh, the hatchery goes down! The 4th hatchery from Jon Snow gets sniped by a small hit squad of Zealots. That was so close.
Wow.
It almost lived with 4 health. It was so close. But it looks like Bones, he's just like, all right, that was enough damage. I'm gonna go home. He's taking his bat.
I think it is. I think it's a smart time to move home. He's still got a strong army in terms of his upgrades, +3 against 1-2. These Roach Hydra are thinking about coming in. Nice force fields where they blocks out a lot of these to the left hand side. Phoenix coming in once again, taking out the Hydras which are fighting here. Blink forward with the Stalkers to try and just trade the best he can. And more force fields coming down. Reinforcements too far crossplay, but will he have enough here in the end? It seems like he doesn't. Loses all of his sentries as he now retreats with these Stalkers.
I mean, like, the army count from Jon Snow is just unbelievably. The army supply is 136 to 69. That is absurd. And Bones, like, he's doing his best, but losing that 3rd base hindered him so much. That was such a big hamstring on his economy that he just never was able to really catch up to the production of Jon Snow, even though he managed to snipe the 4th. And he managed to do all of that work in taking out that army. I just don't think it was enough.
Yeah, I feel he's gotten very unfortunate with the reads here. Again, he scouted great. He expected Mutalisks, which was definitely the initial plan. But Jon Snow is very smart to just never really build them. Went for something completely different. Bones never really figured out that it was something completely different was coming his way, and that's why we see still just Phoenix, Stalker, handful of sentries, and this 4th base now going down as well here for Bones. And I mean, his time in this game is running out as he's got very few units left over. He's wanting a couple of Templar. I'm pretty sure they don't have a Storm, so it's only going to be for Archons. And I mean, again, Jon Snow, he's been on 3 bases for pretty much all of this game. He's only just re-established his 4th, but he's denied the Protoss economy so many times that's kind of all right here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to go back and see at what point Bones actually re-established his natural, because these mineral fields are still very high compared to Jon Snow's. Like, it must have taken him a long time to get that Nexus back down.
He put it down almost instantly, but it's a long time to build just in general. And maybe he didn't send his probes to it straight away or something while he was attacking. Zealots again deny this 4th base, which is nice. I mean, he's making the correct moves to stay in the game, but at this point it's almost as though it's already too far gone. We have a Hive up, we've got Vipers coming out, we've got Crater Spire on the way, and there's no answer at all to Broodlords here. I mean, there's 3 Stargates down, but the economy isn't there to just suddenly pop out 3 Voyagers at a time. So he might try and hold on to this 3rd base, but it's going to be pretty tough. A lot of sentries, the force fields again are going to be the main point of defense here, as our Zerg player looks as though he just wants to come in and contest this.
Yeah, Jon Snow's even researching Ventral Sacs, which I feel is like the YOLO upgrade, where you just lift up your entire army and then drop it into your opponent's base.
He's got Templars, but he doesn't have Storm.
Yeah. There he's researching Storm, but it's 2 minutes out, and 2 minutes is a long time in a game of StarCraft when you don't have any force fields.
I say that, but they could also, of course, be used for those feedbacks, which we just see. Being pulled back right now, these Templars trying to keep them alive, waiting for Storm to come in. I mean, at the very minimum here, Jon Snow's going to get this base. He's actually just going to keep on chasing the army as well at the same time. No, force field should keep this away, but that's the base down. And Jon Snow again just keeping a good control on this game right now.
Yeah, and it looks like Jon Snow, he's just going to keep sending out roaches. Like, he's not even bothering to go further into drones because he knows that he's ahead if he can literally just keep Bones at the level Bones is at. So he's making sure that he knows where everything is. He knows, where the bases are coming down for Bones, and he's just going to shut them down as much as possible. It looks like Bones is going to try to come in and snipe off this fifth base again, but it's not that this zealot snipe is not in the right spot. It's actually on at the completely wrong base.
He's got his out on the base to the left, but doesn't just singles out. It's not going to do enough here. He tries to once again re-establish an expansion here. But yeah, I mean, I mean, it's a game that's almost over already. Well, it basically is over already. I mean, Jon Snow, he's literally just taking his time because he just doesn't want to throw a game. He wants to just finally establish some extra expansions and then really go for the kill move here. He's still got 3 Vipers up. I'm not too sure whereabouts they are. Okay, they've just been recharging recharging their energy, and they're going to move across now. Across the map once again, where, I mean, Bones is here. He has got Storm this time, and huge storms on the army with Time Warp as well. I mean, this is a good start to a fight, but is it really going to be enough? Nice blinding clouds, limiting what can happen here, but nice storms again, and Jon Snow just walks into these, and, one big fight like this, which he just loses, really convincingly, and I guess Bones could maybe push forward with this. We see Corruptors on the way, getting ready for this Broodlord switch.
Man, I want to see Jon Snow drop that rock tower on the Protoss army so bad right now. It's not going to happen, but I want to see that happen just once.
Yeah, man, it's...
But anyway...
Can you imagine, like, the day we do see just a rock tower fall on something? We actually have roaches harassing in the natural. They're doing quite a bit of damage over here, as we've seen a ton of workers killed on either player. And we actually see Templars being abducted into the army at the same time now. Bones still fighting here, but this is really kind of his last hope in terms of an army, whereas Jon Snow, he's got Broodlords on the way, and we've said before, what is the answer to Broodlords here? There's just nothing really. More units being warped in at home to defend from these couple of roaches, which have a ton of kills on them, 10, 11 and 1. And this has been really nice harassment from Jon Snow, just to make sure he's keeping Bones down and out.
Yeah, I mean, Bones he's doing the best he can to get back into it. He finally reestablishes his third base. He took a very nice engagement there, but he doesn't have an answer for 6 Broodlords. Like, he can try to blink under it, but then he's just going to die to roaches and zerglings.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the problem, because there is just so much of a ground army still alive here for Jon Snow. He hasn't been trading that great against them storms, but he probably wanted to lose some units anyway, just to, get rid of some supply to actually make these Broodlords. So now we have a march of 8 Broodlords heading across the map, and I mean, this is just going to be the slow march of death, surely. I mean, Bones still has like 10 sentries in his army, which now really are kind of useless. Like, force fields aren't going to help at all. Broodlings are still going to connect, and I mean, again, we're kind of just watching a kind of ticking time bomb, waiting for the Protoss player to realize that this game is more than over.
Yeah, I mean, this is, what, 8 Broodlords now? This is a dangerous amount of Broodlords, and we're just going to see him start sieging up the bases, and there's no Phoenixes for Bones anymore. They're completely gone. He does have 3 Templar, but none of them have they have enough energy for storms, but it's only 4 storms across them, which is kind of nothing. And it looks like Jon Snow, he'll be able to herd the opponent's army into a corner, and then just come in and snipe at third base.
The blinding clouds are absolutely huge there at the end as well. Like, I mean, really, the blinding clouds right at the end were what probably made Bones GG without even taking the fight. He wasn't going to get any damage done. His whole army was just going to die. And just like that, we see Solaris Gaming up 2-0 in this best of 7 all kill now. We talked about momentum before. The amount of momentum that Solaris have right now is honestly a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Jon Snow, he's good. He's a good player. But again, my prediction, which I still think is going to come true, is he's going to take out 2 people and then he's going to lose.
All right.
And I think that Seed can figure him out. I think they can get him.
Maybe throw in some early aggression. I mean, we've seen 2 macro games so far where he hasn't been hindered at all in the early game, and maybe it's time to test him with something like that. Or again, maybe they've seen a ZVZ, they've seen a ZVP now. Maybe they send out one of them races again and say, all right, this is where we felt he was weak in that game. So I feel Bones will be able to identify his mistake. He prepared for the Mutalisks, and the Mutalisks never really came. So
yeah. That was the big story, was that he committed so hard into that defense against the Mutalisks, and he was just like, no, the Mutalisks are coming. And then 30 seconds later, when it was just Hydras, he was like, no, the Mutalisks are coming. And then it just kind of fell apart for him.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we're going to very quickly head into another quick commercial break here, guys, for a quick 3 minutes. And while we're in the commercial break, do make sure to check out our sponsors, Let's Kung Fu at youtube.com/filthyrake and Zowie at zowiegear.com, both awesome sponsors, helping us a lot with putting on the prize pool for the league. And do go give them a few page hits. I'll be posting the links to both of their sites in the chat during this break. So guys, thanks for tuning in. This is SC2ITL America. I'm Wardy, with me Boisterous, and we'll be back for game number 3 between Solaris and Seed in 3 minutes time. Hello guys, and welcome back to SC2ITL America. Here tonight we have Solaris game and currently leading 2-0 against Seed. I'm Wardy, with me Boisterous, and we're about to get into this third map. But very quickly before that, we actually have had a donation in. So a very big thank you to Vegasloth, who has donated $25, and that actually hits our target for the mousepad raffle. So we'll be doing that a little bit further into the season. Everybody who donates donates $2 gets one raffle ticket, and every $2 you donate adds on a raffle ticket as well. So we're at $150 after $150 right now. Our next goal is going to be at $250, where we'll be adding money to the prize pool for SC2ITL America. So if you want to donate, the link will come up in the chat periodically. And again, click it, check it out if that's something you would be interested in doing. If you're really enjoying the show and you really enjoy the content we are putting out here. Guys, we're going to go into game 3. Jon Snow versus Prebz in another ZVZ, this time on Frost. What do you make of this, boys? Just another ZVZ. What do you reckon they're going to change up this time compared to what we saw before?
You know, I think that if Prebz can just keep pace with the teching of Jon Snow, if it turns out like the last game did, then he'll be fine. Because that was like the one thing that Jon Snow truly did better than his opponent that game, was his opponent kind of went for the Banelings and they fizzled. Like they did, he never got that good engagement with the Banelings that you kind of need before the Infestors come out, or you just lose. But anyway, I'm going to start introductions this time because I love breaking rules, Wardy. Spawning up here in the top right-hand corner to give you time, center on it. It is our yellow Zerg player trying to pull it back for Seed, Prebz.
And in our lower right-hand corner, the player who's taken 2 maps in a row for Solaris. It's Jon Snow in the lower right, the red Zerg player here. Both these guys open slightly differently. It's going to be Jon Snow. He gets the build order disadvantage, and I say that in a bit of a sarcastic way because, you know, it's pool first against hatch first. He's not going to end up that majorly disadvantaged in the long run. Each has its own benefits. For example, he's going to have a couple of lings out a little bit faster to head over here and maybe get a second scout off. He is actually already in the main base with an overlord though, so he sees pretty much everything as it stands. So, I guess these 2 lings won't be able to see too much more, but maybe they can grab themselves a drone kill or something like that.
I kind of doubt Prebz is going to be that silly. Like, I can't see him losing a drone to 2 Zerglings. The real advantage here for Jon Snow is, of course, that he gets his queen out earlier, so he is going to have a faster amount of drones earlier. And now we are going to see these 2 Zerglings coming up here, maybe doing something now. Now the 2 Zerglings from Prebz are already out. And Prebz is starting to saturate his natural. But, you know, we're not really into the point of the game where anything super dangerous is going to happen. Oof. We actually see...
You grabbed a drone.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, it was pretty close. He was about to get it as a spore crawler, but just wasn't quite there in time. Very fast fed base going to come up here from Prebz, and I feel like he's doing this a little bit just assuming what his opponent's going for. I mean, he actually has been in the main base, so he actually didn't see the gas come up. I guess that gas has only just come up as well, so he's fairly safe to take this third base. I mean, speed's not going to kick in for a long time compared to when his own speed's going to kick in, but Jon Snow as well, he's not playing it exactly the same as he played that first map, which we saw on Overgrowth against Solo, so going to be interesting. Nice denial of the scout here by Jon Snow, denying information from Prebz that he has got a gas down and mining.
Yeah, we actually see Jon Snow hiding a queen over behind his mineral line for a few
Oh,
seconds there,
it's a lair.
confusingly enough.
He puts down a lair. I mean, this can almost only be very, very fast Mutalisks out of Jon Snow here on Frost. I can only imagine. I mean, to skip Zergling speed, but he must get Zergling speed next, because even if you play Mutalisks, you kind of need Zergling speed, because Zerglings are going to be your mineral dump. Like, anything else wouldn't make sense unless he's going for... Well, he throws down a Roach one in an Evo Chamber, so I guess I'm completely wrong. And he's just going to go for a very fast Roach speed and go for just straight into just a +1 timing.
This is this is a build coming out of Jon Snow. For a second, I thought it was like a me build where, you know, you just build Mutalisks and then your opponent rage quits because they don't understand how fast you got them. But it looks like he is going to be transitioning into those Roaches, like you said, and I'm not quite sure what his plan is, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it's just super strange to see him try to get Roach speed so fast instead of,
I mean,
you know...
It has to be the fact that he'll have Roach speed, so it has to be for the fact he really wants to commit to +1 Roach timing more than anything. Like, because anything else, we saw earlier, he left Roach speed out or his lair out for quite some time, so he couldn't move across the map. But this will definitely allow him to. It's going to line up fairly nicely. He takes a third base behind this, probably to fall back on more than anything, because I expect to just see a huge swell of Roaches in the near future. I have to say, I do like this more than throwing down a Spire. I mean, I feel Mutalisks and ZVZ are kind of weak now that they've really been figured out, even on a large map like this. 4 Lings here for Prebz, and I mean, this is the power of having Metabolic Burst when your opponent doesn't. You can deny this third base for so much longer, and I mean, Prebz back at home, he's droning up, he's 10 drones ahead with a third base down. He just has to be very careful to not die to a whole bunch of Roaches. He does spot the first few on the way out. I mean, good thing for Prebz is he'll have +1 at pretty much the same time as his opponent, so as long as he doesn't overdrone here, he should be alright, and he's already beginning his Roach production, so...
Yeah, and it looks like Jon Snow is going to get completely scouted here. He's just... Everything's bared right now. And Prebz knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly what to expect. The question is, will he be prepared for when it comes? Because we have 8 Roaches already moving out across the map right now. They are going to hit right as a +1 missile attack finishes. And Prebz, he does have the Banelings. He has a bit of a lead as far as Roaches go. But I don't know. I mean, this is going to come down to a lot of micro for Jon Snow.
Yeah, it is, and he has that +1 advantage here for a few more seconds, and he does have Roach speed, so he can escape, and Prebz cannot really afford to chase. This wasn't really the number of Roaches I was really expecting, and we see +2 start up immediately for both players here, and I mean, Jon Snow, his build's just not as good as what Prebz ended up doing. Prebz has had a faster third base, he's had more drones for longer, and he's still got enough to just hold on right now, and as long as he fights with all of his Roaches here at the same time, he should be okay. He's maybe a few Roaches down right now, but a lot of Jon Snow's Roaches are very low on HP, and that will be a factor, especially with Prebz having reinforcements on the way.
Yeah, but Prebz, he's pulling back, and I'm not sure why. He took a lot of shots on that running volley, and it looks like Jon Snow is going to be able to take this fight quite convincingly, and if Prebz doesn't turn around and start trying to snipe off these low-health drones, suddenly Jon Snow is going to be in an extreme lead.
Yeah, I feel like he could have just turned around and fought a lot more. I think, as you said, he took a lot of kind of free damage for no reason. Now, obviously what he was trying to do is just to back off for as long as he could, but he just wasn't quite able to get far enough away, so it kind of didn't seem to look... It didn't look like it succeeded what he was trying to do. A bunch of Lings have just come out for him as well. He has a bit of a mineral dump, basically. Jon Snow behind this, though, playing brilliantly. He's droned up to 57 now, so he had a bit of a worker lead for a little while. And, I mean, there's no other real advantages for one player over the other right now. They're even on workers. They're pretty much even in the Roach count. The upgrades are pretty similarly timed. The only difference being right now, Burrow on the way for Jon Snow, and we don't quite see that just yet for Prebz, who is moving down the map. He's got these Lings out, and they can help to tank, but, you know, they're not that big. You know, they're not that great.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Prebz took kind of a big hit in that last fight because he lost the queen, and he did not have an extra queen to come over and start injecting. Looks like we are going to have a small run by trying to take out the hatchery here, but Jon Snow, if he plays this well, will be able to get us around and actually snipe off all of these Roaches. It's gonna be close. Prebz is running, and it looks like he will be able to get away with a few of these Roaches, but it's not gonna be great. Oh my god, Prebz with a major miss micro. Yeah, sacrificing. Wow.
I mean, his initial thoughts were good. He had Lings into the main base trying to do some damage, hitting the third base at the same time with his own Roaches, but it just didn't work out for him in the end. he just kind of mistimed it a little bit, and what he hit the third base with was just nowhere near enough to really stop Jon Snow's the roaches Jon Snow had in position. And now Jon Snow's just going to come in and clean up. I mean, he's killed off so many roaches for free for Prebz, and Prebz just stuck around a little bit too long there. And I mean, a moment ago we said this was a pretty even game. All of a sudden, well, that was bad, and GG is called by Prebz. And
I mean,
boom.
like, it wasn't even that, like, he really took a terrible engagement there. It wasn't the best engagement, but it wasn't awful. But then he just jackknifed all of his roaches literally through the army of Jon Snow. It was like one of the weirdest miss micros I have ever seen. It looked kind of like he almost was trying to like send his roaches back up to his base, and then he clicked the mini map and sent them towards Jon Snow's main.
I think it's because he was trying to go back home and control the Zerglings that were in the mineral line of the main.
I think,
and then he's like, he's obviously not
he was
meant
just
to
selecting the wrong group.
It's just been something very little like that, which is, you know, I mean, a lot of the damage was already done. He stuck around at the third base for way too long, but that was just an extra kick in the teeth, losing them extra 8 to 10 roaches, and just like that, Jon Snow actually puts us bang on match point. We've just been going just over an hour here, so I mean, our second series in 2 days, which is now on the point of being an all kill, as Solaris's Jon Snow is again just one map away from completing that all kill here. And I don't know who Seed send out next. We don't know which. Obviously, they've got a fair few players. We don't know which of them are available right now. They don't have any others in the chat. So it's going to be interesting to see who they do end up picking to come out next, because whoever they pick has to be able to not just beat Jon Snow, but they need to win 3 more maps as well if they want to really win. So it's tough. I mean, it's very hard to really just imagine them being able to pull it off. I think not in a bad way, but when you're 3-0 down, it's always going to be a struggle to come back.
Yeah, I mean, especially against Solaris, because one thing Solaris has is a lineup of all-stars.
Yes, like every player you play, it's not like Solaris are going to lose Jon Snow and then like, we'll send.
We don't have anyone else. They have, they have Guitar Cheese. They have
Binsky,
Silky. Yeah, it's a little scary.
Anyone they send out, you look and you're like, oh, well, this could go either way again. So it's not like they're going to send out, hey, this is our academy player we want to send out for some practice. You're not going to get a free map win against Solaris. So Seed are in a lot of trouble here in week 1 of SC2ITL America. Guys, we're going to once again hit this quick commercial break. Once again, I kind of rushed out before, but thank you to Vegasloff, who did donate $25 previously. And that has gone towards the donation goals and incentives. If you want to know a bit more about that, the best thing to do is actually to head on over to SC2improve.net. Let me bring this up for you guys on the screen very quickly so I can just show you guys. So SC2improve.net, the place to go for all your SC2I news and stuff. If you click SC2Improve Team League, you'll be able to see everything that's upcoming and previews and stuff. And you'll see the links to everything you need, the match calendar and so. And if you click on the donations button, it won't be completely up to date here, but you can see all our donations, goals and incentives. So the mousepad raffle has been completed. Our next goal is to add money into first, second and third place of the prize pool. But we'll try and maybe add something a little bit extra to that, because I wrote these donation incentives back when we had like a $200 prize pool, and now we've got like $1,000. So adding $100 doesn't seem as like, yeah, let's donate for this. But of course, every donation, every $2 you donate adds a raffle ticket for yourself into the mousepad raffle, which will be done nearer the end of the season as well. Maybe we'll add in another raffle further down the lines. Anyway, go check that out, SC2improve.net. During this break, guys, we'll be back in 3 minutes' time with Solaris versus Seed Gaming. Map number 4, and it's match point. Solaris and Jon Snow here have the opportunity to take this home and send Seed off to a pretty bad start in SC2ITL America. Guys, the match point now. The ace player has been called out for Seed because Jon Snow is so far unstoppable. I mean, boys, just can you think of a better way to describe it? Because I can't.
I cannot think of a better way to describe it that is like PG-13.
Oh well, yeah. Let's leave it. Let's leave it to the imaginations then. I think that in itself is probably a better way to describe it. I mean, the first game was kind of close. The second game, Bones, you know, he did well, but again, he had a miss. He basically misread the situation, and from there, it started to snowball in Jon Snow's favor. And then game 3, that CVZ, it seemed kind of even, but then all of a sudden, boom, Jon Snow's just like way far ahead, and the game just ends like that. It's never seemed as though Seed have had a real grip in any of these games, and I don't think that's because they're playing badly. I feel like they've just been very unfortunate. Prebz, he tried, his ideas were good, just slight mis-execution there, and again, playing from EU to NA, lag could be an issue. It's just been these little things which have really been hurting Seed so far, so... Well, there's one thing left to do, and that's just to get into this game and see what's going to happen. And we're going to actually start with our ace player from Seed. It's going to be, let his name not... what's the word I'm looking for? It's too late here. Let him not trick you. This is, in the upper left-hand corner, the blue Protoss player, Virium, from Seed Gaming.
And up here in the top right-hand corner, currently going for the all-kill, it is the red Zerg player from Solaris Gaming, Jon Snow.
It is indeed. Alright, so this game going to be a bit of a slow start because we just have a hatchery first and a gateway expand, so not really going to be all too much to say to begin with. Habitation Station, though, the map with all the kind of exciting gold-based players, do you reckon we might see something like that here in this game?
No, because neither of them are Terran or an SPL.
Man, every time a Terran player comes out and just like, it's like
they pick habit. They're like on habitation, and you're like, oh, it's gonna happen.
You just know it is as well. It's at the point where it's actually more surprising to see the Terran player not lift his command center than it is to actually see him just lift it. So, we can see the Protoss player being kind of tricky with gold bases too. Though we've seen this thing where they kind of expand the gold and go for a very fast immortal burst. So that's definitely a possibility. It works out because you can warp in sentries at your main ramp to force field, and if you put your robo in the wall at the gold, you have an immortal to defend your gold base. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic, and there's numerous ways the Zerg player can respond, but it's I think Trap used it maybe against Violet, or maybe it was against Hyun actually in some point in MLG, where he did that kind of build. It's not going to happen here because we see an expansion on the low ground for Virium at the normal location. But there's so many things that can hit. The Zerg player really is tested as to, scouting and making sure they're prepared for pretty much anything that can come.
Yeah, and it looks like both players are just going to be going for a fairly standard build at this point. I mean, like, Jon Snow, I feel like at this point, Jon Snow is just, he does not need to risk anything. He just needs to be one of the walls that batters Virium, down. Like, him and two other players just need to set him up for the kill. Like, just make sure, see what Virium does in every situation, see what he does in long macro games, see what he does in this matchup and that matchup on this map, on this style of map, and then the last guy can kind of just come in and win because he knows everything about Virium, which is really the issue with all kills, like with reverse all kills. Really, it's going to be very hard for Virium to come back.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, again, we've mentioned it's Solaris here, so every match he goes into is a match where we're not going to say, oh, Virium's going to take this one easily.
Yeah.
Solaris are just playing with him a little bit. Every match is definitely a potential for Solaris to take that final game to close out this series. We do see that first Zerglin actually doesn't actually manage to sneak into the main, but he did see the Stargate. I think he should have been able to click on that, and yeah, almost definitely here. He's moving an Overlord in at the same time, so I'm not sure if Jon Snow did see that, or if he just wants to check if there's anything else going on as we see an Oracle start up for Virium. So pretty similar build to what we saw out of Bowens when he played on King Sejong Station, just a bit different gate expand into the Forge and Stargate instead of the Forge expand. So Jon Snow going to come in, checks if there's Overlord and sees it's going to be an Oracle to begin. Smoke rollers do begin.
Yeah, and this Oracle is going to be coming out right now, and Jon Snow is impeccable with his defense. Like, every ZVZ, he's always had a Spine Crawler right in front of his first hatchery, because he doesn't want to lose to stupid stuff. Like, he doesn't want to be that guy that dies to a 6 Baneling attack. He doesn't want to be that guy that loses because of Oracles. He builds the Spore Crawlers, he builds the Spine Crawlers, he takes the lumps, and then he just wins the game.
This Oracle needs to come back home. It needs to protect this gold base. I mean, there's a Mothership core here, but 6 Lings of Speed. I guess they can't take down the Nexus, but Oracle would be nice to clean this up before losing the Pylon. He's going to let it complete, so Not the biggest of losses here. He cleans up a few Zerglings in exchange for Pylon. And I mean, the Zerg player finding out about this gold base now. The Oracle got a few kills. It must have just been on a few drones that I feel. Not sure exactly what he got. Yeah, 3 drone kills. So a little bit of damage done by the Oracle. Kind of just keeping it alive is the most important part here. As we see +1 on the way, some extra gateways. And wouldn't be surprised to see the Blink Twilight Council for Blink and +2 very soon. But immediately, Jon Snow Hydra Den finishes up. At what, 820? That's going to be some pretty speedy Hydras coming out, and it's really going to test Virium's defense on that gold base, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, Jon Snow has a very standardized PvZ build that he uses, apparently. I mean, this is pretty much the exact same thing we saw last time, except for the fact that he also had a Spire. And I think that the Spire was originally just for, like, misdirection, like, complete and utter, I'm going Mutalisks. Because he never actually really used it at all until the very end of the game. And this time he's like, all right, you probably realize that if I build this Spire, I'm not specifically going Mutalisks, so I'm just going to stick to straight Hydra and just use them to bust your wall down.
Yeah. 6 Hydras, 7 Hydras on the way. There's that Twilight Council as well from our pros player. I mean, with a good number of sentries, initial Hydra attack shouldn't really do too much. I mean, without a significant number of anything in front of these Hydras, they die pretty quickly. So he's going to move across the map anyway. It's spotted by Virium, so he's going to be able to begin warping in a few units. He's about to have +1, so just a few Stalkers should be more than enough here. Fair few more Hydras coming across, though. Going to try and attack from the low ground, but I don't think they have the range for it.
I don't think they have the vision. I'm pretty sure they have the range, actually.
Do they? He has the vision of the watchtowers, so...
Oh, yeah, he does. Maybe not. Huh.
Weird. I guess it's very close. It must just be like right on the edge of their range. Nice couple of initial forces. You can see he's got a ton of sentries here. This shouldn't really do all too much. And this is the point where we would expect to see Jon Snow thinking about what he wants to do later in this game. We see +2 on the way. So it may be that he once again just commits to this Roach Hydra force to begin with for a little while here. Now, the Oracle's still on the map, so he can continue to scout. Ooh, an infestation pit pretty quickly. Wow. Do you reckon it's going to be Swarm Hosts, or do you reckon he's just going to head into something crazy like, maybe Infestors? I mean, it wouldn't be the most normal of things to see.
I think it's going to be Swarm Hosts.
Yeah,
but
too. Makes
in all
sense.
honesty, I have no idea.
Okay. It's going to be a fast hive, almost definitely. It's going to just be a fast hive for Vipers and a Roach Hydra timing. It's been so long since I actually saw a Viper time, and I'm just like, infestation pit, like going through the boxes in my head. But a hive and Vipers make the most sense here, and there's that hive starting up. So it makes sense. I mean, he's invested into Roach Hydra, he's invested into that +2. He wants to just hit one big strong timing. However, we might actually see Virium here just attack before Jon Snow's ready. Equal army supplies, Blink about to come in, a lot of gateways finished for Virium.
A lot of gateways.
He's got a lot of force fields to remember here, and this first Zergling completely misses this army.
Oh, no, 12 gates, sorry. This is a lot of gateways.
This is dangerous. I mean, Blink's about to finish, +2 will finish during an attack. Hallucinated Phoenix coming in to scout a little bit. I think he wins with this. I mean, if he doesn't win with this fight, he's going to do some serious damage, because there is not much here for Jon Snow right now.
I'm trying to figure out where his forward probe is. Like, he hasn't pulled anything, and that's going to be huge.
Well, he can warp in at the gold, which is, fairly close. It's not as close as he could be, but still, yeah, we see a Revelation come down, which is kind of going to be kind of nice for seeing any kind of units flanking. It gives him that little bit of extra vision if he will commit to a fight here. And again, he's posturing as though he will, and it's spotted now by his Zergling, and he's again looking to move forward. He's thinking about the best way to go about this, and an aggressive blink forward.
Wow, that was ballsy from Virium, and it looks like he's going to get fairly punished for it. And he is going to be able to come down here and cancel the 4th base from Jon Snow, which is nice, but it's not that important to Jon Snow right now.
The most important thing for him is he's identified Hive about to finish here. He knows what's up, and he's already going for the response to this. The Templar Archives definitely the correct decision here. With Templar Archives, you not only get the ability to go into Archons, most importantly, the Templar come out for the feedbacks on them Vipers, and it almost immediately shuts down this timing. I mean, at this point, these Vipers are basically only going to be used for Blinding Clouds anyway, because we've just seen Mass Stalker here, which I guess is kind of what we saw in the last game for a long time against Jon Snow. So it's a little bit intriguing. We don't see, of course, the commitment to the Phoenixes at all. A few Roaches going a little bit too far ahead of themselves. There's still a lot of force fields here, and we're going to see a fight. Nice force fields block out a lot of these Hydralisks in the back.
Yeah, that's very nice, but at the same time, I mean, the Hydras, they're just so dangerous. They're doing so much damage even through these massive force field wall. And Jon Snow, his ability to remax is just absurd, especially without his opponent having a proxy pylon. And he's actually building a hatchery literally right underneath Virium's nose.
Yeah.
Like, Virium is 7 feet away on like 4 different sides from seeing this hatchery.
He's pulling back a little bit here, so he might end up spawning, but of course he just wants to keep on trading. Essentially, a Blinding Cloud comes down at the back of this army. I don't think that's the best place to put it, because their mutants in the back weren't really fighting anyway. I'm surprised we haven't seen anything else come out of Virium yet. You know, we haven't seen any Templars. We haven't really seen Storm being researched, just +3 about to finish. So, I mean, he's still sticking with this. Again, he's got no real follow-up behind this either, and the upgrades for Jon Snow are starting to look pretty good. His +3 attacks on the way, so he's not going to be too far behind in terms of that. And again, we have a move across here. Force fields could be devastating though, and they do block out a few of these Hydras, but a lot of them left in the front, and the DPS on these is huge. Blink Micro is going to have to be good as this engagement does begin.
Yeah, and this Viper, it's here, its Blinding Cloud is almost up, and we have the Blinks continuing to come forward for Virium, and he's taking a lot of damage, but it looks like he will be able to flood forward. I'm trying to figure out if Jon Snow, like, if he can remax fast enough to pull this off.
This is a risky blink forward as he blinks into what his 2 Spine Cores about to finish up, and I mean, it's very close right now. It's not like it's, you know, it's not like Virium is... I mean, for a moment there, it looked as though he was way ahead, but, you know, with the reinforcements popping out and 2 Spine Cores finishing, it was a very risky blink. He pulled back what I feel was just in time. And Jon Snow, I mean, he's still behind the supply. He's struggling for money here. So Virium has been trading well, and he will continue to trade well as well. Now, 3-1 about to finish up for our Zerg player, and that's going to definitely help him in these fights. But again, these Stalkers with good micro can do a lot, and there's definitely not the dangerous number of Hydralisks which we've been seeing in previous fights.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is whether or not these Vipers are going to get their spells off. Currently, we don't see a whole ton of High Templars. In fact, I only see 2 in this entire army, to be honest, which isn't enough. I mean, like, these Vipers, if they manage to get their Blinding Clouds down, it's gonna be a very, very hard fight for Virium to win. Those Blinding Clouds are gonna be massive.
He can shut down the choke points, but the real... I mean, there's a couple of Templar in here they can feed back, but the real issue is... I mean, once them Blinding Clouds are down, that's the only Blinding Clouds for quite some time. He's got 3 of them available to him right now. Nice Revelation. Again, this Oracle being so useful throughout. We see a bunch of Zealots coming down the south side looking for a 4th base to pick off, but it just doesn't exist. And we see Stalkers continuing to warp in. We have 140 to 110 army supply here. So Virium, I still feel, has the potential to keep moving in and attacking. He's keeping Jon Snow back on this relatively low tech. I mean, the only real tech he has past Lair is the Vipers. As we see in a fight coming in once again, nice Blind Clouds initially. The feedbacks don't go off, and he disengages from this. At the same time, Zealots coming in from behind get cleaned up almost immediately. And Jon Snow doesn't know whether to chase or to just back off, and he's going to keep on remaxing here. Protoss player, I mean, his gold base is about to run out, so time's really ticking for him, because what does he do after gold base? He has to take another expansion, but I mean, he doesn't really have, again, tech to really fall back on. It's just these Stalkers and Blink, and over time they become, like, in this critical mass, the critical mass becomes less and less effective as time continues.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to figure out what Virium's end game is here. He hasn't planned for one, really. He's kind of like, I'm gonna win right now, and then he doesn't win, and then he approaches 30 seconds later, and he's like, I'm gonna win now, and then he doesn't win, and then Jon Snow is just gonna keep living, and Virium really, he needs something with more oomph than High Templars. He needs, you know,
I mean, High Templars would be great if he had Storm, but he's not even investing into Storm here, which is kind of like the most worrying thing for me, because it's the very easy tech path for him to move forward into. I mean, he doesn't even have that many sentries anymore. Blind Cloud comes down, he's pretty much forced to just immediately blink away. And I mean, Jon Snow's just going to chase now. Coming down a ramp even, as Virium's going to turn around and start fighting this. This is probably the best fight you can ask for here. He's got the Conclave, he's going to be able to blink very, very well, but is it going to be enough with all of these Hydras adding on so much DPS? I really, really do doubt it. Again, he needs something with a little bit of splash, like Storm or something, or anything, just to be able to trade, you know, the best against this. However, he's doing a good job. Blinks forward now. He's going for the Hydralisks, and he's taking down the Roaches, so a ton of Roaches are about to pop out, so he has to be very careful not to overcommit moving forward here like he did before.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, Virium, he is down to stalkers, like literally just stalkers. He has two High Templars mixed in with this army, but it's going to be hard for him to escape from a very bad engagement. Jon Snow, he kind of just needs to win one, and then he'll be good.
I mean, he's got fourth base coming up. It's just finished. He's going to start mining this. I mean, his economy is good considering the Zerg player is on 3 bases. It might even just be worth at this point. I think Jon Snow turning around and Virium just turning around and going home and researching Storm and maybe letting the Zerg player begin to build a fourth, because by the time he can attack again with Storm, that fourth is only just going to be finished. It's only just going to be the time where he begins to saturate that and get something out of it. So I feel Virium's got the time to turn around and go home.
Yeah,
he's just not doing it right yet.
I kind of prefer him just playing very defensively right on the edge of Jon Snow's area, because right now Jon Snow, he doesn't want to be backed up against a wall against Jon Snow, because if he gets backed up against a wall and Jon Snow drops like Blinding Cloud, where's he gonna blink to? Like right now, his major strategy is get Blinding Clouded, blink away, and run, just straight on run, and it's working out very well for him. It's allowing him to stay extremely defensive because Jon Snow needs everything here. He can't split off 5 Zerglings to go off and attack the bases of Virium, and even if he could, Virium has a mothership core, I think, back home. I don't think he's even moved it out with his army. Like, it's just there to basically overcharge.
It's at the third base. A bunch of Stalkers coming in. They're going to get a fourth base here. Can they escape? They've just used their blink, which is maybe a bit of a mistake now. They're going to try coming in here. These Stalkers are pretty much committed. I don't know where they blink to if they want to really try and get away, because the Zerg army is just going to match them moving sideways. And I mean, they can always run, but they're never really going to get out unless Jon Snow slips up a little bit. And you can see Virium, he's trying to play with this. He doesn't have high ground vision to get away here. These Stalkers are just kind of sitting and not doing anything. He begins to blink, but this is not so great. Jon Snow is beginning to mine out, so I mean, all he has to do is keep denying the space for a bit longer without losing all of these Stalkers, but this is looking a little bit troublesome. He's coming around, and he's going to get trapped by drones.
The drone pull, it's here to stop him from moving forward, which is great. Though. He even like split the drone pull in half, so like the extra half of drones could just slow him down a little bit further, because Jon Snow knows that all he has to do is sacrifice some drones in order to kill off these stalkers. If he can stop these stalkers from escaping, he's going to be in a very good position, and we can see that starting to happen now. We have force fields going down, but again, there's no AoE to shut down these Hydras, and these Hydras are just doing so much damage to the stalkers. The stalkers are forced to run further and faster, and there's still no Storm. Storm is just finally researching now, but it's so late.
Imagine he started Storm up 2 minutes ago. Like, he has Storm now, and he falls back home. He just lost a little bit too much in that fight, and now he's lost all of his Templars, and Jon Snow can continue pushing forward. He's not had a fourth base all game long. He's literally about to be mined out, and it may be literally just now that Virium doesn't have what it takes to take him down. I mean, until very recently, it was very even on resources lost, but now Virium has lost a lot in recent fights, and that's going to have a big factor on this upcoming, what's going to be an upcoming fight very, very soon. I can only imagine some more sentries come in for force fields, but at this point, is it even going to be enough? Vipers have a lot of energy for Blinding Clouds, and the first Blinding Cloud, well, he can move out of that, but the second Blinding Cloud is great. The force fields just kind of preventing Virium from dying for a little while here, and what's been a game which he's been in control of for so long has ended up with him just being, well, overrun here in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I wish he had played a little bit more defensively on the edge of Jon Snow's base. I wish he hadn't gone for so many forward blinks and so many risky plays, because all he had to do was keep Jon Snow at home, and he had that game.
Wow, I've literally just had the camera, the screen, on the wrong thing for like 2 minutes. As GG's called, I'm literally just back in. Wow. That was oh my god, how did that even happen? Wow. Right. What we're gonna do is we're literally going to
go into a replay.
Yeah, we're going to go in the replay and show you guys the last few minutes of this game.
Oh man, this is fantastic, Ward.
I just embarrassing.
Oh. Was it at least wait? And ladies and gentlemen, this is why we need Curran to stream this. So go tweet at Curran TV and just tell him to stream this.
How do
just
I
tell him to?
You know,
tell
like
him to fix the time.
I haven't done something like this in like what, like a year and a half or something. Like it's been like a year and a half since I fucked up in this proportion, and I fuck up at literally the worst timing. Oh my god,
that was fantastic.
Man, that's so bad. Oh, it literally comes in like it was like a good 2-3 minutes. Wow, that's so embarrassing.
Only the most professional stream over at the SC2ITL NAB 1.0.
You can't see my face. I'm like genuinely devastated.
I am sure your face is unbelievably red, like maddeningly red.
Like back in the day, like I used to like mess up, like not going to the game screen at the right time for so long, and I used to make I used to be a shell observer, and I took so much pride in being slightly better, and now. Oh, guys, we're loading up the replay up to the last few minutes. We're going on times 8. We're going as fast as we can to show you guys the last few minutes. And we're going to recast this as I don't know what point it went out. What point we went out on, but we'll try and just get into this as soon as we can again. I fucked up. I've got
no.
It was,
a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. That's
only by 3 minutes of white screen.
Yeah, we're running along the timeline, guys. It must be about 23ish minutes, I think. So in a moment or two, guys, we're now there. We're gonna show you guys the end of this replay because we fucked up. Well, I fucked up.
Well, do not corral me into this one, sir. This was all you, Orty. And I just want to point out that the casting is fine. It's the observing that's the issue.
I mean, apart from missing a warp prism on King Sejong Station, I would like to think it's been okay up to this point, right? Let's go from here. It's like 5 minutes remaining in the game, and let's show you guys the end of this. So. I think Autosis. Oh no, we're still on speed. I think Autosis and Tasis' jobs are safe now. You reckon? So I think this is about the point where we lost it. So Josiah, Vivian, he's committing down to the south side. He blinks and he gets this fourth base, which is great, but he's literally stuck right now in such a bad position. And we have these Roaches and Hydras coming in, boisterous, and I mean, again, how does he get out of this?
I mean, if he had high ground vision, he would be fine right now. But like his mothership core is still at home. I have no idea why he didn't bring his mothership core with him. And now I realize that that as we watch the end of this replay, we're literally just going to be picking apart the tidbits of what Miriam really did wrong. Yeah. I mean, it really was just an overcommitment without an escape plan. Like he came in.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's in such a good spot because Jon Snow is literally about to mine out, right? His third base has nothing on it. These Stalkers are trying to escape gate right now. The Natural has nothing on it as well. The main base is completely gone. He himself, isn't all of his army, so he's fighting with half of his army. And, even Nowish is okay if he gets away and has started Storm already. But, again, he fights here and he loses so many Stalkers in this little bit of an engagement that it's really starting to get troublesome now. Now the Templar is in the wrong position. They're not going to add anything to this because Storm isn't finished. and they're falling back. They're going to try and get back home, but they're not going to make it in time. And Jon Snow continues to chase it down. And I mean, again, there's just a couple of things that need to change. Storm a little bit earlier. Don't commit onto that fourth base because he just doesn't need to. Because if he just sits at home, starts Storm, he's in a fantastic position. He's got a mining base and his opponent does not. So as long as he can trade semi-decently, he's okay. And he did the one thing he could to really lose this, I think, which was to end up losing too much there. So, well, I mean, we're going to see what was the final fight here. And this is what you guys basically ended up seeing at the end of the stream. The units started coming here for as I play. The force fields are pretty good here initially. But again, it's just too far gone at this point. There's just not going to be enough. Storm's not finished. There's no Templars left over. And the force fields are basically just delaying the inevitable. Have I just lost you on Skype? Really? Now I've lost Boisterous. Oh my god. What has happened?
Alright. Oh man, Wardy. This is some great Freedom Day StarCraft. And that was the end of the game.
I'm laughing and it's like the most unfunny thing I've done for like God knows how long.
That's funny to me, but I'm also just a rambunctious scamp.
Oh, well, what can I say? Congratulations to Solaris. They did win here 4-1. I don't have your webcam at the minute, man, if you want to throw it on.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get this sorted out and we'll do it.
Oh, I can't throw my why is my webcam off?
Oh.
I can't do it. So
you know what? I think it's the least of our worries right now.
Yeah, no.
So again, guys, we're sorry about that. Literally, I mean, I have my scenes hotkey to my numpad, and I've clearly just hit something somehow, and just not noticed it. So, yeah, shit happens. I'm sorry. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show up until the last 10-15 minutes, where it became a little bit of a mess. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say. Maybe if I just take my numblock off during the game, that might help. Wow, again, very embarrassing, guys. I can, again, only apologise to both Solaris and Seed for fucking up the end of their series. To you guys for watching, and yeah, to Boisterous for just having to sit here and laugh at me.
Wardy, worst streamer EU.
Man, I swear down. I mean, I've casted so much in the past year, and the last time I did something like this was like a year-ish ago, or even more now. Like, it's gotta happen sometime though, guys. Again, Solaris take the victory 4-0. So thank you for tuning in tonight. That's all our games for tonight. Another all kill here. So I mean, we picked the best matches to come and watch all kills. Basically, Jon Snow just way too strong here today for Solaris. I'm not going to take the piss and throw up the team standings again. So we'll just skip that part for now. But, again, I hope you guys enjoyed the viewing. If you did enjoy the show, if you enjoyed the laughs of the failure at the end, then thanks for watching. And again, hit the follow button on Twitch if you've enjoyed it. But most importantly, go check out the sponsors. Let's Kung Fu at youtube.com/filthyrick. He's an awesome guy. He's just supporting esport events all over the place. Go give him a few views on his YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/filthyrick. And ZowieGear.com putting in a ton of products to the prize pool as well. About $500 worth. So really, really bolstering the prize pool there. You can check them out at ZowieGear.com as well. I'll put the links to both of them in the chat. Thank you to Boisterous for joining me today. You can check him out on Twitter at BoisterousSC2. I'm Wardy. I run SC2Improve. You can check me out at SC2_improve, and you can spam my Twitter and tell me how shit the observer experience was at the end. And yeah, I mean, again, thank you to our donator today. We had $25 donated from Vegas Loft, so thank you very much for that, good sir. Again, we've hit our next goal in the SC2ITL America goals and donation and goal donation goals and incentives. So that's always awesome as well. Tomorrow we'll be back with Root Gaming versus Miraculous Gaming, which I'm really hoping it won't be an all-kill, because it'd be nice to cast a full series. Of course, WCS America is on as well tomorrow, guys. So, if you've got a few moments between WCS America games, drop in, say hello, and maybe check out some cool Root
Let's
games.
be honest here. If they have some time in between SC2 Improve, SC2ITL, NAV 1.0 games, then they should go over and check out WCSNA. Let's be honest, all right? This is the pinnacle of production.
Doesn't give you the best grid of team scores mid-match.
They don't even have team scores, Wardy. Let's be honest. Like they don't even have. They don't physically have a grid that's like that. Like they can't design one.
They literally can't fuck up in the same way we do. Exactly. SC2I bringing you the worst possible entertainment. Oh god,
it's a distinction.
Never live this one down, guys. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. If you've got a few moments, we're going to run some ads on the outro. So if you've got a few moments, whitelist us from your ad block. Stick around; it does help support the league and future SC2 Improve events. And all of the ad revenue we collect during the NA streams go towards more NA events. So if you've got a few moments, stick around for some ads while we play out some music. If anyone's got any feedback that isn't stick on the game screen, then I'd love to hear it in the chat afterwards. I'll be around to chat to you guys for 5 or 10 minutes as well. So once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. I've been Wardy. He has been Boisterous. Boisterous, any last words as well? I've just been talking for a couple minutes, so go ahead.
No, I can't think of anything else.
All right.
I can't kick you any more down than you already are, Wardy.
Yeah, I've got nothing to say anyway. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Congratulations to Solaris, a 4-0, a great start to their SC2ITL America campaign, a great start to their first ever Team League match. And again, thank you for watching, and have a good night. It's 3 AM here, so I'm off to bed to have nightmares about this moment. Oh, guys, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. This has been SC2ITL America, and we'll see you tomorrow for Root versus Miraculous Gaming. Come on, let's find a good song to go out on at least. Oh, good night, guys. Thanks for watching.